Are you a parent or entrepreneur or someone who's working away in your 9-to-5 job and you feel like you've been stuck in that like survival mode mindset? You know, you just feel like you're getting by day to day. And maybe you started to see that you want to make a change. There's things you want to see improve, but you just feel so exhausted that you don't even know where to begin. Then if so, like this video is going to be for you. Now, I know that exhaustion that you feel from survival mode. I used to think the only way out of it was to find the way through, like pushing harder or whatever. Like that there was some sort of a right system or a morning routine that was just going to perfectly fix things for me, or some sort of next level of discipline that maybe I'd finally be able to like break through the heavy fog of just getting through the day. But I know I was wrong. I was actually completely wrong. And I'm hoping to save you a bunch of time, things that I had to figure out, because the thing that no one tells you about survival mode is like, you can't hustle your way out of that sort of a burnout or force yourself to feel alive again. You can't like out discipline or work exhaustion. Like that's been years in the making. And I know because like I said, I tried, I lived in that constant, like I was a firefighter in that firefighting mode. Like I wasn't thinking about what I wanted. I was just reacting to what was most urgent in front of me. And you know, when you're working, parenting, you've got all your responsibilities like on repeat. Like sure, I was functioning and checking the boxes along the way, but I wasn't fulfilled. You know, I was just maintaining, I wasn't living. And the hardest part is I started to believe that that's who I was, that, you know, the energetic and passionate and purpose-driven me was gone for good, replaced by someone who was just tired all the time and just hanging on with sheer willpower. But here's what changed for me, like, and I want to help you unpack it so you can see it as well. I discovered the way out of survival mode. It doesn't require some sort of, you know, massive energy or motivation or moving away to some crazy place to rediscover myself. Like it starts in the smallest and simplest steps designed for the version of you that's already running on fumes. And we're going to dive deep into that as part of what we cover, especially with the principles from the GIVER method, because your exhaustion, it isn't proof that you're broken or anything's wrong. It's just that biological signal. Your brain has been so stuck in that survival like gear, you know, constantly scanning for threats instead of possibilities. But the amazing part is that there's so much data and science out there that shows that you can rewire your brain to move past that. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, something I like to do at the beginning of every video, and I totally forgot to do, is just say, welcome to the GIVER Method channel. My name is Jake. Glad you're able to join me. If you've been to a video before, welcome back. Super excited you keep sticking around for more videos. And today I want to dive into these 4 areas where you move from survival mode into this growth mindset, even if you're exhausted. You know, we're going to talk about like how you interrupt your patterns, you know, that keep you stuck, and find what actually gives you energy again, like all sorts of things, because growth, it doesn't start after survival mode ends. Like if so, you're going to keep waiting for that to end, and it's not going to. Growth can actually happen, like is what helps the survival mode to end completely. Now, you know, what I'm saying here, if it sounds familiar, if it connects with you, if you've been on autopilot, or you've just been going through your days feeling like you've lost touch with parts of yourself that used to feel alive, then I get it. Like maybe you're a parent who's running on empty for so long, like you can't remember what it feels like to have like your own time or energy to yourself. Or maybe as an entrepreneur, you built something that was meaningful and that you thought would serve the life that you wanted, but like now, man, it's just become one more thing that drains you instead of fulfilling you. Or maybe you're an employee showing up every day, doing your best, but quietly wondering if like this really that all that there is. Because like the fire that used to drive you feels like it's gone out, but trust me, it's not. It's still there. You know, if you're in that mode, like once again, we're not talking about any sort of a weakness or laziness or unmotivation. Like you're just exhausted. And that's not a character flaw. It's the biological state that you can recover from. Survival mode was never meant to be permanent. It's just the signal that you're running in crisis. You're looking for the threats. You know, it's like your brain adapted to survive. Well, let's adapt it to thrive again. And everything we're going to cover today, it's grounded from my book. It's called The GIVER Method. Like I said, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and author of this book. It's called The GIVER Method. Right now, you can get it for as little as $2 on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. You can go get it for between $2 to $10. Get yourself a copy. It's one of the best things you could do to invest in yourself. It's designed for parents, entrepreneurs, people like you who are, you know, want to find their gifts and superpowers, create more impact and influence and value for the people around them, have better relationships and engagements with people, live a happier, more fulfilled life, create that deeper level connection with whoever it may be. Like that's what this is all about. And it's designed to do it from the place where you're at right now. It's designed to help you to get out of that burnt out phase, that survival mode, the anxiety mode. It's designed to get you out of that. You know, it's grounded in my story, which is I've walked a similar path to you, being a parent of 3, an entrepreneur, and someone who's been in that corporate world. So get yourself a copy. The link is in the description, or pause the video and just go to Amazon and get The GIVER Method by Jake Talbert. So go get yourself a copy. Like I said, it will have such an amazing change for you, such an amazing impact. You could get it for someone else who may need it, and like I said, I know all of this, where this is coming from, because I've been there. I've walked the similar path to you. Every strategy like that I had, to find energy, like it didn't work. Instead of big changes, I just started small, and I'm talking ridiculously small. I started with just one honest statement, like, well, hey, I'm more exhausted than like I've been willing to admit, like being truthful with myself. And then I made single degree shifts, before like I would collapse on the couch at night or whatever. Like I just spent 5 minutes on the floor with my kids with no phone or agenda, just being present, like, and just tiny actions that, they don't fix things overnight, but when you stick with them, because that's all you have the energy to do, it builds on top of, like, it has this compounding return for you. And so that's what we're covering, these 4 areas that are science-backed, that help people to reclaim energy and clarity and confidence, not by doing more, but by doing what's right when you're in the exhausted version of you, because you can't force the transformation. It has to be gentle and consistent shifts that help you to rebuild that self-trust and remind your brain that, hey, growth is still possible, and I can get to that next stage. I can keep growing from where I'm at. So if you're ready to stop white knuckling, through the day and start like actually going, giving back to yourself, then this is going to be for you. Now at the same time, like I said, everything today is going to be grounded in the GIVER method. So if you want to get yourself a copy, go to the link in the description, go get it. You can go to thegivermethod.com, learn more about us. Of course, you can follow us on all the social medias under the handle of the GIVER method. So Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. If you're looking for some one-on-one support, where you're like, yeah, I love the idea of the book, I'm going to go get it, but I'd love some one-on-one connection as a part of that. I've got a few one-on-one coaching spots open. You can check out the link below, see if the details make sense for you. If you run a team or have a podcast, an event, a stage, a platform where this message could serve your audience, then let's talk about how we could bring it to them in a very real way. There's a link down below for that. And of course, make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, all the YouTube things, and comment your thoughts along the way so that we can see what stuck out to you. What sticks out to you might help somebody else see their path that they need to be on. Now let's jump in. Like I said, I want to run through these 4 areas. Like we've already kind of covered the topic, and I want to dive a little bit deeper into each one so that you can see how it's relatable to you and what the things that you could go do about it. And so the first area I want to focus on, it's often referred to as like the truth-telling reset. So like I call this principle like get honest before you get better. Because most people stay stuck in survival mode because they keep pretending that everything's okay. I've been there, I get it. And I know that so many of you who are watching, if you've made it this far into the video, then you may be thinking like, no, it's okay, I'm fine, I'm just tired. When actually you're falling apart inside. And I get it. I did it for years. Like we tell ourselves that we're admitting we're struggling somehow, can make things worse off for you. So we just keep performing. I hate the performance mode. It's so energy draining. That performance version of like, it's fine, everything else is good, like we're good. Like even if you're running on fumes, and that's a recipe that's not going to add up for you over time. Now here's the deal. The biggest things keeping you stuck isn't that exhaustion. It's the denial that convinces you to keep pushing through it. Survival mode, like it feeds the pretending. It thrives every time that you tell yourself like, well, this is just life right now. And so the first step is breaking that cycle is simple. It's an honest truth-telling session to yourself, like no solutions, no spins, just honesty. And so that's how you do it, for the next week, 7 days, that's it. Write down one sentence every day that starts with something like this, like, hey, one honest thing about how I'm actually doing is blank. Like fill in the blank, that's it, one line. It doesn't matter if it's a note app or a sticky note or a napkin in your car or a journal, whatever. Like there's no pressure, you're not fixing anything. There's no silver lining, it's just the truth. It might sound like, hey, I'm more exhausted than I want to admit. Man, I love my family, but I'm running on empty. Like I can't remember the last time I felt like myself. And I'm scared this version of me is permanent. Like these are honest statements that I got directly from people that we've worked with. Something happens when you do this. Especially when you do it consistently for a week. Like after that week, you see patterns. You'll notice every line mentions like exhaustion, resentment, guilt. Maybe one of them hits so deep that it makes your stomach drop. The truth that you've been avoiding, and it's probably the exact thing that needs your attention the most. It isn't, once again, this isn't about putting yourself down or self-criticism in any sort of a way. It's about self-awareness. It takes almost zero energy to go do just a willingness to be real with yourself, because you can't design a better life if you won't admit that this is where you are. And honestly, this is how you break the illusion that's been sitting there. Like when you stop pretending, stop performing, like gosh, when you stop performing, you can finally create space to start healing and start winning yourself back. So start with that. Start by just acknowledging like this is actually where I am, and it's not where I want to be, but it's where I've been, and be honest with yourself. Now it takes us into actually where we get into these other areas that like once you can acknowledge that, you can move into these other principles. The second one being like how you build the real momentum when you're running on empty. How do you really get things moving if you're so exhausted? So I call this one like the small shift change. Okay? Most advice out there assumes that you have energy you just simply don't have. It tells you like, hey, you could overhaul your life and you rebuild all your routines and start all these new habits, and you're gonna go all in. You're gonna go to this event in Bali and find yourself, blah, blah, blah. Like when you're already exhausted, that kind of advice sucks. Like it just sucks and it feels impossible. And honestly, like it's insulting to you, and you just may not have realized that. Now here's the truth. You don't need some sort of massive transformation to change your direction. You just need one tiny intentional shift. Something small enough that even on your worst day, you can still do it. That's it. And so if you think of it like this, like 1 degree turn might not be much, but over time, it completely changes your path. That's what we're after here. One small choice that reminds you like, I still have a say in how my day goes. I have control over how I'm gonna show up. And so here's what I want you to do. You pick one thing in your life that drains you, like, but feels like automatic, and then make it ridiculously small adjustment. You know, I'm talking about a shift that's so small, like you laugh at how easy it sounds. Like here's some examples. Like, let's say that you're a dad, you're feeling burnout. Like before collapsing on the couch, like go sit on the floor with your kids for 5 minutes. Once again, no phone, no agenda, just presence. Like just like rest for a moment, guilt-free, knowing that you're showing up authentically for your kids. If you're let's say you're overwhelmed parent, a mom, a dad, whatever, like you could set an alarm for 10 minutes, early to have I'm gonna have some coffee alone before everyone else wakes up. That's your space. You could protect it. You can reset. You can get into that moment. Like if you're an employee, you're exhausted, like once a week, instead of eating at your desk, like go step outside for 20 minutes, even if it's just to sit in your car. That's your time. Do what you want. Listen to the songs you want. Listen to the podcast you want. Go walk around. Heaven forbid you pay attention to what's going on around you. You look at the trees. You look at the plants. You look at the animals or whatever. Like look at the sky and the clouds. Like there's so much you could take from just being present in those moments. That's you time. Whatever you want that time to be. Once again, these aren't big moves. They're just single degree shifts. But once again, those shifts, it builds proof that you're not completely stuck. It's proof that you have a choice. When you start to do that, my gosh, your brain starts to rewire things quickly. Now the test is like, even if it feels too heavy to do on your worst day, maybe it's too big. How do you make it smaller? And seriously, like I'm not even joking, embarrassingly small. Like you'd be like, someone's like, well, what are you doing to work on yourself? You'd be like, God, I don't even want to tell you. Like it could be that small. Because the goal isn't to impress anyone. It's you just need to build that damn consistency day after day. If you do that for 30 days, you look for two things. Like you're basically like, hey, what did I like? Did I do the thing I mentioned? And how do I feel? And you'll be surprised that you start to notice that when everything else like goes sideways, you still showed up for yourself. And that's evidence that it's rewiring, it's reprogramming, like the whole whatever neuroplasticity inside of your brain. How you function and see yourself. You go from that, like, I'm stuck in this survival mode to like, hey, I'm someone, I still get to choose. I get to choose direction. I get to move forward. And it's a quiet power, but it's that 1 degree shift. It's not about massive change. It's just about reclaiming the steering wheel, even if you're tired, because momentum doesn't come from doing more. It just comes from like proving one small choice at a time that you still have power over your own story. You could slowly be working your way. Trust me, it's compound effects. It's the stuff that really does take an impact. And over time, it shows up in so many different ways that you'll be like, my gosh, I can't believe I'm in a different place so quickly. And it's just these little shifts and changes that you're doing. Now, our third area that I want to focus on is like how you find what actually refuels you instead of draining you. How do you find the energy that's been hiding underneath the exhaustion? Because once again, the opposite of the exhaustion is finding the energy that's going to build for you. And that's the thing about survival mode. It buries your spark. It buries that little thing that's inside of you. All those things that used to make you feel alive have been shoved under the piles of responsibilities and deadlines and just pure exhaustion. Like you forget what actually fuels you because once, like every bit of energy goes into just getting through the day. But that spark, trust me, it's not gone. You know, that your ordinary every day can become extraordinary. That spark is just buried, and the goal isn't here to go find this a crazy passion or forced excitement that doesn't, feel right. It's just to start noticing where the real energy, where is your spark quietly hiding in everyday life. And so here's what you want to do for the next week. Become that spark detective, the energy detective. Keep a simple note on your phone like, hey, what are my patterns, my spark patterns? And throughout the day, just jot down how your day feels like before and after you're doing activities. And don't overthink it. This isn't a science project. It's just it's an awareness training. And so it's like, hey, activity, I did a thing. Before I felt like a 4, after I felt like a 7, and I'm going to do an arrow up because I feel great. Maybe it's like coffee alone on the porch. Before I was a 3, after I was a 6. I had a real conversation with a friend. Before I was a 4, now I'm an 8. Scrolling phone for 20 minutes. Before I was a 5, after I felt like a 3. Bedtime stories with my kids. I felt like a 5. Afterwards, I felt like a 9 because it was just such an amazing, fun time. After a week, you look at the list. You start to see patterns. You see the things that quietly refill you, and others are going to be draining you. That's an energy map. It's not the one that you wish was true. That is actually who you are and how you're showing up, and the things that you could start building energy into. Now, here's where most people go wrong. They try to overhaul everything, and you don't need to quit your job. You don't need to go move off to Bali. You don't need to do all these whatever. You just need to protect 15 minutes a day to do something that gives you energy. You look at that list. What are your energy givers? Go start doing those for 10, 15 minutes a day. That's it. The dad who loves problem solving, he spends 15 minutes helping his kids build something. It's not a task, it's fuel. The mom who loves learning, listens to one short podcast while she's doing the dishes. That's her recharge time. I love mowing the lawn and working on my yard. It is my recharge time, even though at the end of it, I'm exhausted and my body is drained. But I get that moment to just be in my head, to listen to what I want to listen to focus on those things. That's my recharge. Maybe you're an employee who feels alive, during meaningful conversations. We'll schedule unintentional coffee chat once a week that isn't about work chaos. It's about something more at a deeper level. That's how you start shifting your energy. You find that they take the source of your energy from adrenaline to authenticity. Because when you start doing this little bit of what energizes you, and it genuinely energizes you, your brain remembers who you are. The interest that felt dead before, that spark starts to come back alive. Start to rekindle what's happening there. You realize you're not drained because you're doing too much. You're drained because you haven't been giving from you feel like you've been giving from this empty well, but you just had to go start actually using it. You protect what fuels you. That's not selfish. That's how you refill your tank. It lets you show up better for everyone else. 15 minutes a day of true energy isn't a luxury. It's the difference between living in that constant depletion, exhaustion, burnout, anxiety, whatever word you want to use, and actually starting to feel alive again. And then that takes us to the 4th area, which is how you break your reactive loop. Get your power back. This is a pause that charges everything, because most of us live in reaction mode. Your phone buzzes, you grab it. Someone says I need you, and you're instantly up and trying to fix it. You're halfway through coffee before you even realize that you haven't made a single intentional choice all morning. That's survival mode. That's not once again, it's not lazy or distracted. It's just that your brain's running in this emergency programming for way too long. You're not deciding, you're reacting. And after a while, that just starts to feel like how life is happening to you instead of through you. And the good news is you don't need a huge system to fix this. You just need to create a few small moments, tiny interruptions that give you space to choose again. So here's how it works. The first thing you want to do is you find your top 3 triggers, your automatic moments that you lose control of your attention. Maybe your phone dings. Maybe it's someone who's saying hey, I need you. Maybe it's the wave of overwhelm that hits you at 3 p.m. when you find yourself mindlessly scrolling your phone. Whatever. Step 2, add a pause. Just 3 to 5 seconds. That's it. These 3 seconds, they can change everything for you. When that phone buzzes, don't grab it. Take a breath. 3 to 5 seconds. That's it. Ask yourself, hey, do I choose to check this right now, or do I want to let it wait? And either answer is fine, but you got to make a choice. It's not a reflex. You got to pause a second and go, now do I want to look at this? Yeah, I do. I want to see what that was. Or nope, I don't need to. You're making a choice. When someone says hey, I need blank, instead of dropping everything, pause for a beat. Ask yourself is this urgent, or could it wait to finish? Setting a boundary teaches your brain and the people around you, honestly, that your time matters. And when you feel that wave of overwhelm coming, say it out loud, like, hey, man, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Like, I want to escape that right now. And then decide, like, well, I'm going to rest intentionally. Like, I'm going to take 10 minutes. No, I'm going to step outside. I'm going to take 3 deep breaths. Once again, it's not about finding this perfect thing. It's just about being present. I'm going to take some time to me. I'm going to make a decision what I want to do, and I'm going to do that thing. And then step 3, celebrate the pause. Like, seriously, don't measure success by how perfectly you respond. Just celebrate the fact that you noticed. The awareness is the win, And here's why, because like every time that you insert this tiny pause, you're reminding your brain that you still have your agency and your choice. You're not stuck in reaction mode. You're retraining your system to believe that, you have a say again in your life. And that starts to change everything, because like you stop catching yourself mid-pattern. When you actually start doing that, you're halfway through the phone, like grabbing your phone, like you're halfway through, like, that mind-numbing snack that's there or whatever. Like, you just realize you're not powerless. Like, gosh, you practicing being intentional again. And when you do that from an authentic place, especially with your gifts and superpowers, all of these things start to change for you. Over time, like those small pauses become so natural that one day you notice that you don't react to anyone. You actually respond. You choose. That's how you start to feel like you again. That's through it's not like I'm going to control everybody. It's not through perfection. It's just a few seconds of awareness that reminds you that you're in charge of your own life. You can say what you need to say in those moments and take it whatever direction you need to take it. Now, here's what we've talked through, right? The survival mode isn't who you are. You can get out of it. It's just a state that your brain has been trying to keep you safe. Your nervous system saying like, hey, we've been in crisis for too long. But the most amazing and beautiful thing about it is like that same brain that learned how to go into survival mode, it can learn how to go into this thriving growth mode again. You don't have to wait to feel better to begin. You don't have to, you have all the energy to take action. In fact, like growth is the very thing that helps you to get that energy back. It's what helps survival mode finally loosen its grip on you. Now, here's the part most people miss. Like, it doesn't take some huge effort. It doesn't have to overhaul your life or some crazy retreat. Like, you just need small, honest, consistent steps that exhaustive version of you can finally do. Take that inventory of like what you have going on. Like, just one line about like in the morning, what am I going to go do? A single degree of shift that you want to do. Like, what's that 1 degree? Well, where's that? Where am I going to dig up my spark or my energy? Where am I going to find the things that fuel me again? Whatever it is, start anywhere. Start small. Just damn it, start today. Do something. I promise you, it will make a difference. Those who start to make these changes always see things start to come back to them. Now, when you start to discover, develop, and deliver your gifts and superpowers along the way, like the universe will start paying you back with all other opportunities that you've been looking for. Like the change that you've been waiting for doesn't need more motivation. It just needs movement. Like it needs one gentle, doable step that proves that you're not stuck. And when you do that, like when you take those small and meaningful steps, you're noticing it along the way, you're gonna start thinking more clearly. You're gonna feel that spark of energy return. You're gonna find moments of peace. Don't feel forced, because like you're not waiting to heal before you grow. You're growing in ways that create the healing you need. Now listen, if you want to dive deeper into this type of stuff, that's where you want to go get yourself a copy of the GIVER method. Like, it's available on Amazon right now. Like I said, for as little as $2. The link is in the description to go get it. Like, get yourself a copy. Get it for a copy for someone who needs it. Go to thegivermethod.com. Check out all the ways we help people. Free resources. Join the newsletter list. If you want to follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn under the GIVER method handle, you can. If you want help figuring out how to use your gifts and your energy intentionally, check out the coaching link down below where we talk about like the one-on-one coaching spots that we have. And then if you have a team, an event, a podcast, a stage, whatever, that this message would serve your people, then I'd love to bring it to them. Let's talk about how we can do that. But before you go, remember this: survival mode was never meant to be permanent for you. The exhaustion that you're feeling isn't proof that there's something wrong or broken. Like, it's proof that you've just been running on that emptiness for too long. Just like your brain adapted to survive, you can thrive again. The version of you that felt alive and clear and confident is still in there. That spark is waiting to be found. It's just been buried under the responsibility and the reactiveness. Every small step that you take, every honest reflection, every 5-minute shift, every moment that you choose to pause instead of react, like it's how you bring the person that you're meant to be back. It's how you bring that spark back alive. You don't have to feel ready. You just have to start doing something, because like the smallest and most consistent choices that you make while you're tired, like they lead you home to yourself again. And believe me, you are the only person that has your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences, which means that you're the only person with all the good, all the bad, the road, bumps, the setbacks, the failures, the wins, the good times, the bad, all of them. You're the only person who can deliver the value that you can deliver right now. And so I encourage you to develop your gifts and superpowers and to really start to see the change that's there for you. Hopefully we'll catch you in our next video. Check out the other videos on the channel, other ways that it could help you. Subscribe to the channel, all the things, all that type of stuff. And hopefully we'll catch you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.